Okay, so today is day 1 of 100 of just recording videos of me talking for 10 minutes straight about a certain topic whenever I do not have a topic to talk about. Since this is going to be like kind of theological, I am just going to read the Bible and like whatever thoughts come to mind, I'm going to say those. Today is, so what I was going to say is we're just going to go for 10 minutes straight every single day. We're not going to edit anything. We're not going to like cut anything out. It's just whatever I comes to mind. But basically there has been things on my mind for the past ever that I've been like thinking of posting about, but I just do not have it in me to like word myself and like word my thoughts and express them in a way that I think would be understandable to people. So since I keep so much of this just in my head, I'm just gonna put it out there, and then hopefully this will give me a practice to actually put my thoughts into words that can actually like be understood by other people. So one of the concepts that kind of is triggering this video series is the concept of love, specifically how it applies to the church. So how it affects the body of Christ and how it affects a person individually. One of the things that kind of really triggered it is people thinking that love is like completely selfless. I think, and I'm gonna like study this and dive into this, that love is basically the thing that gives you the most gain in life. So it cannot be based on definition like selfless. I think it does seek the good of the church, and by extension, we as a body of the church get benefits from it, and greater benefits than we would have gotten ourselves without love. So I think it's the wiser way to seek benefits, and not loving and doing things the unloving way is actually way more harmful to ourselves. So that's kind of the concept I want to dive into and explore. There are multiple concepts such as salvation and the book of Galatians and all of those kind of things that I have explored for like years and years and years until something like just clicked in my mind and things made sense. And before that, I would explore these topics and things would like, on the surface level, they would make sense to me, but like I would dive deeper and all of a sudden I would be lost and confused. And I don't think I had the knowledge or even like the principles to even understand those things. So it took me a while to actually like kind of like have a snowball effect of me getting like the knowledge and understanding and like even the ability to understand some things before like those things clicked in my mind, and I was like, okay, now it makes sense. So one of those things was salvation. Like I heard so much about salvation, so like even like the courtroom analogy and all those other analogies, like on the surface level it made sense and I could explain it to other people, but still like something was just like not making sense until I was digging into Galatians and into Genesis and all of those things. And then one day I just understood that it was like kind of like a wall that, okay, so like after people sin, God cut out access to himself. And then like when Jesus came, he created like a door for us to go into God's presence. And that's why there's like no works of our own, no nothing, none of that like stands before God, because it was just Jesus making, like Jesus was Emmanuel, God with us. So he made access to God, what we lost, which was what we lost in the fall. So I will probably make a video at some point about that specifically, and I think I have on this channel, but I would like to study it more and make it more like understandable. The other thing that I have like dug into was Galatians, and I wrote like multiple papers for college on it because I was like, I need to understand it. And then finally, what really made it clear, like especially Galatians, I haven't studied Romans much, but like Romans is like a more extensive version of Galatians. What made sense to me was like when I stopped looking at it through like the Calvinist Arminianist point of view, and I started looking at it as like what was the author himself trying to say. And what he was trying to say is that we're not saved through the law. We're not saved through the way that like Jews were given the law. They were given the commandments to follow, the what is it called, the covenant made with Moses. That was presented after Abraham received a promise that through his seed the world will be blessed. So through Jesus the world will be blessed. And so once Jesus came on earth, that's when the promise and the covenant was realized. And so like now any nation, any country, any people can have access and can have the blessing of God through Jesus Christ. So it is no longer through the law of Moses, which the nation of Israel was given, like they were given those promises and all of that stuff. So also we'll probably eventually make a video on that, but it took me a lot of digging in. I studied the passage where it's like through the law I died to the law, so then now I can live for Christ. A few verses before that it says that even we Jews know that we are not sanctified through the law. And that passage, even though like I read it over and over and over again, I assumed myself as like who Paul was writing to. So like it didn't click to me that that passage was specifically for Jewish people. So then once it did, I was like, oh, okay, that makes so much more sense. So that's when the book of Galatians started making sense to me. I still think it agrees with the Calvinist doctrine, but viewing it through that lens like really messed me up for like many years. Yeah, like that's now like Paul was now writing out a proof of Calvinist doctrine. He was writing out the fact that people were saying that they need to go to the law in order to be saved, and that's not what was happening. Like that's not what Jesus did on earth. He did not make people go to the law. He was the promise through whom the whole world was going to be blessed. Anyways, another thing that I did not study much, but like I want to make a video on at some point in the future is the end times. That was one topic that I was not about to study, that I was not like interested in at all, and I was like not going that way at all. But I went to college and I took a class that had nothing to do with end times, but the approach that the professor took was like, and the textbook that he gave us to read, the approach that the textbook took was that the whole book of the Bible is about end times. So that completely shifted my worldview on the end times, and it made me realize that basically a lot of what the Revelation talks about is basically the daily struggle of a Christian right now and the reality of the world right now. So it's very interesting once you start like understanding the Bible and applying it to today instead of like waiting for some future event. There is some future aspects to it, because like how we're supposed to apply it today, we're supposed to apply it in light of Jesus coming back and the victory and all that stuff. So those two things. But I wanna spend this time kind of just going over what the Bible teaches about love and dive deeper into that topic. And hopefully by the end of this series, I'm gonna have a more extensive, like, and hopefully at some point, like, not 100 videos in, but maybe like 20 videos in, maybe 30 videos in, I would have like a clicking moment where I like, oh, that's what love means. Because honestly, to me, there's a lot of things that I'm starting to understand, like the whole thing of like Christians sacrificing their life bothers me, because I'm like, they're investing, not sacrificing. So everybody looking at themselves as like sacrifice, or like being, or like panicking about the future, or like worried that they're like going to lose out by sacrificing their time, by showing love to people. I feel like that is such a big misconception that it really does bother me. So that's kind of what I want to dive into. I have a couple of seconds left. I really want to make this just 10 minutes long. So I'm gonna be back tomorrow and talk more about the things that interest me about the biblical love within the church. Bye bye.